morning, everyone. Good morning, and welcome to the 2019 State of the City Address. I would like to start off by thanking Tara Miller, the Michigan City Senior Center Director, and all the Senior Center members for hosting us here today. You sometimes hear coaches of major football or basketball programs at the collegiate level talk about taking stock of their season, looking back at what went right, what went wrong, and more importantly, where things need to change or improve for their program to continue moving forward in the right direction. One of my earliest realizations as I took office in 2012 was that there is no season, there's no off season in this position. It is a 24/7, 365-day-a-year job that demands the ability to analyze, adapt, and make changes, and sometimes difficult decisions on a continual basis to keep our city moving and progressing. Looking out into the audience, I see representation from our various city departments, and it's because of these hard-working men and women here today, the ones that are out on the streets right now, and the ones in offices carrying forward city business, that we continue to provide outstanding services to our residents and to our visitors. I know there is a great synergy amongst our city employees. I see it every day. The whole is greater than the sum of their parts, and because of their exceptional efforts, attention to detail, and great deal of interdepartmental cooperation that this city team we have assembled is second to none. A great leader, a great coach, a great CEO is only as good as his team. And I know that I have an amazing team working here in Michigan City. I would like to personally thank each and every one of them for their hard work and dedication to our community. As I enter the 8th year as the CEO of this great city, I can stand before you this morning and honestly say that I am proud of what we have accomplished. And I am excited about the forward direction in which Michigan City will continue to move. I would like to highlight a few major topics, and then I will open the floor today for questions. The first thing I'd like to commend the City of Michigan City and all of our hardworking individuals at the Michigan City Sanitary District and the Michigan City Street Department and the various other departments that participate in this, whether it be the planning department, is the environment. And our commitment and the culture change in Michigan City over the last 7 years of protecting Michigan City's environment. And that means whether it be solid waste trash, pollution into our streams, protecting our lakefront, Lake Michigan, our most precious resource that we have here in Michigan City. We put approximately $40 million in green infrastructure, lift station improvements throughout our various neighborhoods, stormwater separation, sanitary sewer improvements, and this has happened throughout our entire city, in all neighborhoods. It's not always real glamorous to see these things because they're underground, but they are so important to your everyday life of protecting our waterways, but not only that, not having sewer backups in your homes, making sure the storm water is treated properly and sanitary water is treated properly. We have approximately $5 million that will be going into the Carwick Nature Park and the Cheney Run restoration area. And the majority of that money is from either grants or from what we call insurance mining. The City of Michigan City was able to recover insurance monies from people that illegally dumped at the Carwick Nature Park. In addition to that, in the restoration portion of this, we have leveraged many grants, and so there'll be approximately $5 million spent in that area as we renovate that area, protect a natural resource, once again, Trail Creek, and pretty much all of that is either through the insurance mining or getting back federal grants and state grants, which is a return, once again, on your tax dollars that you pay. As As we look at our drinking water here in Michigan City and our water department, they provide great water infrastructure to the homes. They provide a clean drinking water into our homes. This is so important in a quality of life. We have great quality water here in Michigan City, Indiana, and that, quite honestly, in some communities across the United States, they don't have this water source, or they have a contaminated water source. We take it for granted. In some parts of the country, this is a major social, racial issue affecting certain communities, and we can be very, very proud of the Michigan City Water Department. We continue to get grant monies in for brownfield remediation. Why is this important? This is to clean up historic contamination from plants or factories or manufacturing that has been here historically here in Michigan City. So we continue to not only evaluate these sites, but that's the first step of the remediation project so that we can put these lands and properties back into a economical, social use again in our community. And so it's very important that we realize that we are getting grant money in for brownfields, and we are addressing the brownfields. Something that protects our children in the community, we have two different lead remediation programs that are going on right now in Michigan City that are going through our planning department and through our Michigan City Sanitary District. Probably have a combination of almost $3 million that's available through these two programs. And it's very important that we've, in Northwest Indiana, Michigan City, Indiana has taken the lead on trying to remediate this lead and get it out of homes so that our children are not exposed to it. So very, very important programs that are happening there. I think that you'll see we could go on and on about our strong commitment to protecting the environment in Michigan City, and that will continue under my administration. I'd like to now move to fire and police, public health and safety. Start out with the fire department. Chief Novak, we've been kind of holding this for about a week, but I want to make a very important announcement today that in Michigan City, Indiana, and I'll explain a little bit about what this means, the ISO rating is going to be going from a 3 to a 2, and 1 being the best you possibly can have, 10 being the worst. The ISO Insurance Service Office rating goes from 3 to 2 in Michigan City. As a comparison, surrounding communities have an average ISO rating of 8. The IOS conducts a yearly analysis of fire departments and their working relationships with local water departments and local 911 call centers. This analysis is done to assess the ability to respond to emergencies. Our department's ISO rating is extremely important, and it does not only show that we have a response-ready fire department, but it also has a direct impact on the homeowner, as insurance companies base the cost directly relative to this rating. So as you look at commercial and you look at residential areas, this could actually really have a benefit potentially on the insurance rates that you pay on your homes. And this is very, very impressive, and we should be very, very proud of the Michigan City Fire Department and working with those other agencies. We've worked very hard on trying to make sure that our departments reflect our community. And I'm very proud also to say, which I believe is the first time since 1977 when the consent decree for the Michigan City Fire Department was put in place, that Michigan City is in full compliance of the consent order that came down on Michigan City, and I believe that we are at full percentage of the requirements of that consent decree. So once again, I think that's a great achievement of the fire administration. As we now move to the police department, just exceptional leadership in my Michigan City Police Department. I couldn't be prouder of what's going on there. The community policing as we've met with people in the region, and I say the Midwest, but even across the United States, our community policing and outreach is second to none. We're an example for other communities. When other chiefs meet with us, when we talk with other mayors, they want to hear more and more about what Michigan City is doing with their community policing. So we're very proud of that also, once again. And one of the things that I'm particularly proud that, you know, probably each and every day we just kind of take for granted in society is protecting our children. You know, school safety and readiness in our schools and the school visits. There's training that goes on behind the scenes. There's things that happen with law enforcement and our school administration in preparation if there was ever a situation or a disaster in our schools. We train, and some of that's not always open to the public, but it's very important, and you should know that it does go on behind the background. But in addition to that, a police officer from the Michigan City Police Department visits one of our schools each and every day, whether it be a parochial school, a private school, or our public schools. They touch base there. It's at different times, it's random, but we're very proud of that because, you know, if somebody is even thinking about or contemplating something bad in one of our schools, they never know when our officers are going to be there. I'd also mention we've expanded the school resource officers. We have one at the high school, but we also have them in the middle schools now, and so that's very important. And we have headed off potential incidents in our school, and that's been a very successful program, and I'm very proud that we continue this program. I don't know that all cities have this. Something else that I think needs to be brought to the attention of the public in regards to the Michigan City Police Department and all their hard work and dedication is the great collaboration that we have with other departments at the state level, at the county level, at the federal level. That's very important as we fight criminal behavior and activities in our city and our community. Those partnerships and relationships are so crucial to our community. And so I commend them and I thank them for all the men and women of the Michigan City Police Department for all the hard work that they do. Now we'll move on to parks, ports, and airports. The Michigan City Parks Department continues to make improvements at neighborhood parks, and then they have the major parks, obviously, of Washington Park here, and maintaining a zoo, which is very unique to a community. Some communities have zoos, but they're not run by the municipality. They're not run by the city. We take that responsibility here in Michigan City very, very serious. It's a 365-day operation, 24 hours a day, and I salute the dedication to the Michigan City Zoo and park workers that are there each and every day, no matter how bad the weather is or whatever the situation is. We get them there. I mentioned that all the different improvements to neighborhood parks, but in addition, last year we put in about $500,000 worth of safety programs, not only at Michigan City Parks, but also at all of the school playgrounds, where we worked on the safety conditions at the crosswalks. We put in signage, any additional safety measures that were needed. We brought a lot of the sidewalks in the areas around schools and playgrounds up to ADA compliance, and so that was very important. It was $500,000 that was spent on that, but it was money well spent in assisting and protecting, once again, our children, our youth, and our community. We could go on and on about the Michigan City Parks and what they do and the responsibility they take on with the staff that they have. They have more and more properties that they're responsible to take care of with less and less, sometimes, resources and employees. So very proud of them there. One of the things that we just completed was the what I had called the Corps of Engineer Castle in the zoo. That was a great WPA renovation. It's also a park project, but it's also a zoo project, and many people don't know that that's actually the replica of the Corps of Engineers symbol, which you'll see on their flags or anything that you see across the United States that the Corps of Engineers is in charge of. That castle is built after that symbol. Michigan City Port Authority, what an economic engine in the city of Michigan City. Sometimes we take them for granted, but they control our harbor, they control our basins, Trail Creek Marina, they assist us in so many other ways. Once again, that goes back to that city collaboration that's very important, that, you know, once wasn't so strong in Michigan City, where the departments work together, and that collaboration is very important. But like I say, I don't take what the Port Authority does for granted whatsoever. They bring in tens of thousands of people. They assist the Michigan City Park Department with our very large events, and they're very crucial to our economics here in Michigan City. As we look at the Michigan City Airport, this fall and into 2020, we will begin the construction of the $10 million airport expansion. And $9 million of that is not going to be coming from the city of Michigan City. So that's a very important. We've had about $1 million in this. You'll start to see the excavation work begin in the fall, and then construction work in the spring and through the summer. But that's going to be a very unique project. The runway will go over the top of the highway and off to the west of where the runway exits now. And so when you drive underneath and you're heading east, you will actually drive underneath the runway of the new expansion, and it will allow us to have larger aircraft come into Michigan City, larger corporate aircraft, because many of our local manufacturers and other businesses have jets that can come in, but they have to go to other airports now. And so this will also help us logistically when we've just annexed that area out there across from the airport. And so if we start to get logistical businesses come in there, for instance, that can utilize rail, can utilize I-94, utilize I-90, but also the airport may get more busier with some commercial and cargo type of deliveries. School collaboration and workforce development, and they go hand in hand. We received the $700,000 grant, once again, to help train the Michigan City workforce. And this is happening in a variety of ways. It's very important in our community that as we look at every major manufacturer, every major business, and just the regular businesses in our community are hiring. However, we know and have known for some time that there sometimes is training opportunities that need to be available for our citizens and residents. And working with LaPorte City, LaPorte County, Michigan City, a major partner is the Michigan City Area School System. We continue to work with the A.K. Smith Center, Ivy Tech, Purdue Northwest, and we also have particular businesses that are now working with the community to train our students or train our residents, particular for their manufacturing. So basically, an apprenticeship. So that's where the progress has to happen. Is that we have to get our workforce ready. When you look at manufacturers or businesses all across the United States, their number one resource they're looking for now is the workforce. When they look at your community, is your workforce ready? Yes, infrastructure and tax abatement and all those things are important, but they want to know, if I need 200 employees, can I bring in 200 employees from your community? And so that's very important, and we will stand committed to that, working with the school systems and all the other higher learning. The employment opportunities, like I say, are regional too. Like I say, I mentioned that we work with the Economic Development Corporation in LaPorte City, and it's a partnership with the EDC here in Michigan City. We believe that jobs anywhere in LaPorte County are opportunities for Michigan City residents. If you have to commute 9 miles and you can make $18 or $20 an hour in LaPorte, or if somebody's coming over to Michigan City and working at Hitachi Solaire or GAF, that's the way it works. And sometimes you do have to commute. That's the beautiful thing, that you have to learn that sometimes when your community change, you have to adapt. And that's what we're trying to do here in Michigan City, progress and adapt at the same time. We continue to work with our Promise Scholarship. We look at the Promise Scholarship not only as an economic tool, but also a job training program once again. We're keeping track of these students that we're investing in, and that once again we can provide this information to local employers of what their degrees are in, because they're looking for different types of engineering degrees, accounting degrees, and things of that nature. And so recently we've started to have a step up in businesses and corporations in Michigan City sponsoring our Promise Scholarship. Our goal here this year will be to have $100,000 in corporate sponsors, in addition to the monies that the city is putting in through riverboat dollars, and building this fund up so that we have this scholarship available for many years to come for our students here in Michigan City. So once again, job growth and job training all go together, one and one. Leveraging federal and state funds. The City of Michigan City has leveraged over $9.5 million in federal grants and state grants, and it's a wide variety of uses that we've used these here in Michigan City. But you have to think, many times people will say, I pay my federal tax, I pay my state tax. This is a return. When they take that out of your check, that federal and that state, when we as a community, Michigan City, and we go out, and my administration can bring these type of monies back into Michigan City, that's your tax dollars coming back into your community. Some people say, well, that stuff just comes natural. It doesn't come natural. You have to work very hard, not only to get these grants, but then to maintain and do the work that's necessary to keep the grants. So very proud of bringing almost $10 million, and I'm sure soon it will be over $10 million in grants that we will utilize here in Michigan City. Something that's very important that people need to realize is that there's been increased property values in the City of Michigan City. And when I say that, all property values in every neighborhood, whether it's commercial, residential, vacant properties, the value has increased. And that means that we're doing something right, that Michigan City's value has went up. It's worth more than it was before. We are right now in the midst of a process of a comprehensive housing study. It will take a look at our housing stock, which we know we have an aging housing stock in many neighborhoods, and we're addressing that. We're looking at areas right now on the east side to develop. There is a very big call for mid-range, mid-range and higher-end housing in the Michigan City community. Many will say that we need more mid-range but affordable housing. There is affordable housing. Some of that stock needs to be revitalized, though. Landlords need to be bringing their apartment houses and rental properties up to code, and we're working very hard on that, but it's a daunting task. Michigan City does their fair share of low income and affordable housing right now. Other communities around Northwest Indiana need to do their fair share. And so we do, but that's who pays your taxes. When you bring in this mid-range and these higher end housings, there's where your tax base can go up. Tax base supports the school system. It supports everything that the Michigan City government runs. So it's very important, and when we talk about some of the things that are happening on the south side, many will say, Mayor, why are you bringing in more tire stores, more mattress stores, more restaurants, more shoe stores? We don't go after any of those. That happens naturally. It's market driven. The south side is zoned properly. They come in, they build something for $400,000 or $500,000. That they pay taxes. Let's say it's a tire store. There's managers, there's mechanics, it provides jobs. Who are we to say don't come in here? They're a business. It's a free enterprise. It's a free market. If they want to invest in our city, but we're not out calling them up, hey, we need another tire store. It's happening naturally. And so that's very important to point out, because many times they'll say that our economic development department is only going after those. We've had our major businesses here in Michigan City expand. We've had new businesses come in. So what's happening on the south side just happens naturally, restaurants and that type of businesses. And it's like I say, I think it's very important to just point out that all properties are more valuable in Michigan City than they were 5 years ago. Indiana's first national park. This is so important to Michigan City. This is our opportunity to be what I would call a gateway city to a national park. Remember, this is the first national park ever in the state of Indiana. It's the only national park in the state of Indiana. The nearest other national park is actually, I believe, in Kentucky, which would be Mammoth Cave. So when you look at the Chicago region and the Midwest, this is a great opportunity that we've already hit the ground running. I've met twice with the superintendent of the national park, Paul Levowitz, and we've had some great meetings. The potential here for us, if we do what we need to do in the right correlation, is potentially $20 to $30 million in economic value, possibly more as we move along, of the opportunity for Michigan City. So we will be aggressively working with the national park. As we look, and we've got to look for future generations. This isn't necessarily about everybody in this room today, but it is about our children. It is about our grandchildren. As you look at the potential of NIPSCO retiring that plant, moving their power operations to another area, as you look at our harbor, all the way to Mount Baldy being open for public access once again, it's something that hasn't happened in 100 and some years. Has there got to be a lot of planning, a lot of discussion that happens? Yes, over the next 10 years there will be. But the one thing that we have to make sure is once we regain that lakeshore back, that we always have public access for our children, grandchildren, and future generations there in Michigan City. So we look at that potential. Will there be development? Will the west side of Michigan City, realistically, I look at the plant probably being shut down and alternate power sources happening on another site sometime, and shutting down in 2027. But after that, you have to remember there's going to have to be a lot of demolition that occurs there, a lot of remediation of the site, making it safe. You've got a lot of other things that you're doing. There's infrastructure in there. There's rail. And so realistically, we're probably looking at the year 2035 when you'll be able to actually drive through there and it'll be wide open again and have connection with the dunes and things of that nature. And I know that's a long time. That's why I emphasize that this is the importance of the decisions we're making now is for generations to come. I'll be 75 years old if it's a 2035. But so very important issue, that an opportunity that Michigan City will definitely take advantage of working with this national park. When it was announced that it became a national park, it reached approximately 90 million people worldwide. And that's the important part, is now that they're a true national park, one of only 66 in the United States, that it's marketed around the world. They now will have funding sources that they didn't have before, so there'll be a lot more enhancements that have already are in the queue out there at the park. Things that you'll start to see: more amenities, more trails, more upgrades of ADA compliance and things of that nature happening at the park. It's going to take a couple years, but that's also going to take us here in Michigan City to prepare ourselves for this great opportunity. As we move through the first quarter of 2019, my administration, my department heads, and my amazing city employees will continue to do the best job we can for you. There is no doubt that Michigan City is better off than they were 7 years ago, but we cannot concede. We must continue our quest to reach higher and further. We will not be deterred by a small segment of our community spreading false narratives in their hopes of tearing my administration apart. Together, we will continue to be a place where visitors are welcomed, business can thrive, and our families can grow. I would like to once again thank the Senior Center staff and membership for having us here today. God bless America, and God bless Michigan City, Indiana. this time, I would encourage you to stick around as I'm going to open the floor and take questions from the public on any subject here in Michigan City. So, anyone with any questions? Yes, sir.
Hello, is my name. I'm hopefully my family can't hear you. Very much Michigan City from Chicago 50 years ago. So I've been paying taxes for the 50 years. It's a beautiful city. I encourage all my friends from Chicago to move to the city as well. Only one problem I see is during the winter season, with so many young people in the city, especially children, students that are involved. It's such a great potential. We've got winter season between December and practically March. There's no ice rink in this town.
Okay, so I'll summarize the question that for folks that couldn't hear it. Basically, moved here and he thinks it's a great city. However, in the wintertime, believes there needs to be more activity, specifically ice skating or an ice rink where there's multi-use there. As we continue our discussions and moving forward with the plaza, we know that one of the potential components of the Michigan City Plaza downtown is some sort of ice feature, whether it be a full-blown ice skating rink or a portable ice rink there, something that can be set up and taken down. So those discussions are still happening. But there's a lot of people that don't ice skate too in our community, and so we have to also look at activities that would be interested for an interest for them. And we have done a lot of outreach, the Redevelopment Commission, the Plan Commission, in regards to getting public input back in the neighborhoods throughout the city on what should be ultimately in a plaza in our downtown. So, next question, please. Yes, sir.
Yes, I guess an update please about the additional rail line going into Chicago.
Okay, the question was about the double tracking project, which once again is a very exciting project with, when you think there's going to be potentially $130 million spent right here in the city of Michigan City. Double tracking project, the state, the 4 counties, we all have all of our funding and everything in place. The projects at the federal level that needed to move forward so that ours could move to the next stage in the queue have occurred. So we're very optimistic that we'll be hearing something either this fall or early in 2020. And I guess for a lesser of an explanation, we are waiting now for the federal approval. And once that happens, all of the state funding, the counties have all theirs in line, and then the project would start to move forward. And once again, when you think about the potential of $100 and some million being spent in Michigan City, and we're going to be very conscientious with the neighbors along that corridor, whether it's 10th Street, 11th Street, that was part of the environmental study. Having a new state-of-the-art train station with actually transient development around that. There'll probably be apartments and other type of housing happening there because of having that commute down to 1 hour to Randolph is very, very important as people will see opportunity to the west of us for employment. Once again, you must commute many times to have a job. There's communities that are thriving in Indiana. St. John's, Indiana, for instance, they can't build high-end housing there fast enough. The schools are doing great there. There's a lot of great things happening there. But guess what? 80-some% of their residents do not work in St. John, Indiana. So that's why double tracking is important. It opens up opportunities to the west of us, whether it be Gary, East Chicago, Hammond, or Chicago itself. But it also opens up opportunities for Indiana, bringing in Illinois people for whatever they may want to do here in our communities. But so the answer is that it's moving along. We're waiting for the nod from the feds. And once they give the approval, we're ready. We're ready here in Indiana. Yep.
What would the completion be, do you think?
When what?
When would the completion of this project be?
I believe once it would begin, it's about a 2-year project. Yeah, about a 2-year project. Because they're working, yeah, that'll work, Tariff. Yeah, thank you. That helps, sir? Okay. Next question, please. Yes, sir.
Not really a question, but a pat on the back to Joe Ford, Lower County resident, Brookford, Michigan City, Indiana. I gotta share with you, I hate to search quite a bit. I go to a lot of state and city addresses, and I've been to every one in Northwest Indiana in the last month and a half. This by far is one that stands out more than anything that I've ever seen. I'd like to congratulate Mayor Harris and everybody that's involved. What you have to keep in mind is a lot of this stuff that he's talking about is confidential. And we're not going to know what's going on until he's able to release it to us. And what we just heard today over the past year, it has been going on ever since this young man's been in office. So I commend you for that. I know a lot of what you're doing in the community, and I'm all for it. The second thing I'd like to talk about a year ago, I visited the new police station in Michigan City. I was overwhelmed, not with just the building. The contractor did an excellent job putting that building together. But what I was overwhelmed with, and didn't have a clue, was how many things that this police chief and his organization does for the local community of Michigan City to help the kids in that neighborhood that needs help. Well, not playing basketball. Take them out and deliver the kids. But not just that. These guys go out and play basketball with these neighborhood kids. So there's a lot of great stories to be told here that I could say here all day long about kids, but I don't want to pick over the shoulder. So Mayor, congratulations for doing what you've been doing.
Thank you, Joe. Yeah, thank you, Joe. And to your point, you're right. The community policing programs here, and I tried to emphasize, is just second to none in our region and maybe in the United States for that matter. And I could probably have talked for 2 hours, but you have to pick and choose each time of what you're going to highlight in a state of the city. But you know, if you go from the small things to the mid-range things to the large achievements that are occurring, a lot of things that you, like I say, happen in day-by-day operations of the city that people aren't aware of, and the challenges that are brought our way that we take care of the problems and issues, and no one even knows that they were a problem or an issue and they were remedied. So, a few more questions? Yes? Hold on, they're going to bring you the mic.
Good morning, Mayor.
Oh, I'm sorry. You'll be next.
I'm Tommy Glavik, 1316 Ohio Street.
Hi, Tom.
Has there been any kind of negotiations or discussions or cooperation with the county, state, and Cold Spring Township officials in extending city water and sewer lines south of Interstate 94 for any future or current development to that area? And that would include Michigan City's Patriot Park.
Yes, there has been discussions with the county in regards to taking sewer and water beyond south of the I-94 interchange, which would open up more development opportunities for the county. Now, having said that, if the county or the state are willing to pay for those expansions, the city of Michigan City is not going to utilize our dollars when we have tons of stormwater issues that we still need to remedy in our community and working on. And remember, we only have so much money to spend each and every year. Many times I hear, well, we don't have sidewalks here, we don't have this here yet. We have a budget. Every department has a budget. You can only do so much each and every year. So if the county's willing to step up and finance that, we're willing. Our sanitary district has had conversations and has been cooperative with them on other projects. So yes, but once again, it comes down to funding. I'm not going to send $4 or $5, $10 million out into the county of city monies that can be utilized for our residents. Once again, you know, many times you'll hear about. And this is a great example. We don't plow in the county. We don't plow in Potawatomi Park or Long Beach or Trail Creek. Those are not in the city of Michigan City. And we get some criticism about the Promise Scholarship. It's for Michigan City residents. It's our tax dollars. It's our riverboat dollars. That's why it's for the residents of Michigan City. And so once again, if the county's willing to fund that, we will definitely work with them and make it happen. Yep.
Are there any boundaries, and I'd like to know if the double tracking South Shore where that station is going to be built, and how about the 52 condos going up on 100 Washington Street?
Okay, once the double tracking project moves forward, the station will be there, the new station, which would be an elevated station, ADA compliant, brand new, probably the most modern state-of-the-art station there is, right between Franklin Street, and it would go actually extend beyond Pine Street, and so that's where it'll be located. And the other question was about the new condo development on our lakefront. We had some discussions, and once again, a lot of times, as Joe indicated, a lot of these conversations are confidential when you talk with developers. However, the developer did announce this on their own, but we had conversations with them. I want that to be clear. But we did not know at this time they were going to make their announcement, but the property and land is zoned properly. I think they're looking at trying to put in, like I say, about 52 condo units there. And the owners and the developer will be working with the city to make sure that it's all done within our codes and our zoning approvals. But that's the situation up to this moment, what I know about that development.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
I live out at Weatherstone, and I'd like to know if we can get bus transportation out there for people who don't have cars. And I'd also like to know why we're not considered Michigan City when we pay Michigan City taxes and we pay the county taxes. And they tell us if we would live on the opposite side of the street of the highway, we would be considered Michigan City. Why aren't we considered Michigan City?
Well, quite simply, you're not within the city limits, and there's always a line of where the city limit ends, and you happen to be on the other side. Weatherstone is not in the city of Michigan City. That was done way before my administration, and I mean, there is a process, but they're very difficult processes, whether it be annexation or in other situations where you could possibly come into the city, but right now you're not in the city limits, and bus service is something you can be looked at, but once again, we need expansion within the city of Michigan City right now of some of our bus services. There's portions of the city that don't have service going to it, and that we have limited resources. People have to remember that transit is federally funded up to a point, and then the city has a responsibility and a portion of that funding. But you're not in the city of Michigan City, and I'm not sure that I can remedy that for you. You're welcome. A couple more questions? Yes, sir.
From a few of the council meetings I've seen, there's always people especially. They're always complaining about the contractors that do the major construction work, roads, sewer, don't hire enough Michigan City people. I don't know if they're not finding qualified people or what the answer is. And we talked a little bit about the job training. I know we don't want to overpay the contractors, hire a bunch of unqualified people to stand around. We want them to actually have qualified people. That's an issue.
Yeah, again, the questions about the major contracts and as far as Michigan City representation on municipal contracts here in the city. The vast majority of contracts here in Michigan City are union contracts. They're union contractors. And so union contractors use union labor. So they go to their locals. They go, whether it's carpenters or it's operating engineers, teamsters, whatever. And if Michigan City residents are not represented in these trade unions, which there's a process. You have to go and take the test to get into the trade unions. Then you get into apprenticeship. This is not just a job for 6 weeks on a Michigan City job. It is a career. You will be on Michigan City job maybe, but then you might be in Knox, you might be in Sherrville. And by the way, after you're in the apprenticeship, you work all day, and then 3 or 4 nights a week, you got to go to class. And depending if it's the carpenters or what trade union it is, the only training center here in Michigan City actually is IBEW, the Union Electricians. So after those electricians in apprenticeship work all day, they got to go to class. But in many of these trades, you may have to travel. So you're going to need dependable transportation. But we have to have our residents, and where the complaints come from some residents, you got to get them to the testing site first of all, get into the apprenticeship, get accepted, and then you go to work, and it's a paid training. So you're working all day, you get paid, but then you have to go to classes, and the work isn't always in Michigan City, so you'll have to travel around. But the bottom line, if you don't see enough Michigan City residents on Michigan City projects, it's because we don't have enough Michigan City residents in the trade unions for them to draw off of. I can't send you to the store to get a loaf of bread and there's no bread on the shelf. And that's the problem our contractors have here. Now, some of the contractors have worked with the community in trying to get some people in with some what I would call unorthodox, untraditional ways of getting into the union, and we need to continue that. But the bottom line is there's not a lot of Michigan City tradesmen and women in the unions, and sometimes when there are the tradespeople that are in the unions and they live here in Michigan City, they're already out on other jobs. For instance, if we're paving roads here and Reith and Riley or Walsh and Kelly get the project, and they're already got people working 6 days a week, 10 hours a day out on the toll road, they're making a lot more money. They're not going to come back and say, I want to work in Michigan City for 5 weeks on this project for 8 hours a day, even though they're a Michigan City resident. So there's more work to be done on that, but I think the work is in the community, getting people to these testing sites, finding out when all these building trades are testing, and getting their people, our people in Michigan City, into the unions. Yeah, so, yes, hold on just a second.
I'm concerned with the traffic pattern of the double rails going to Michigan City, that there are going to be, right now, have 3 streets that go along the side. I also
So the question is in regards to the double tracking once again, and the streets that'll be running, north and south. Yeah.
And all the streets are going to be blocked off because of the track.
Well, they won't all be blocked off, and see, there's a lot of, like I say, misinformation out there. And there's going to have to be some more public workshops ultimately when we start to get there. But Ohio Street, Wabash, Washington Street, Franklin Street, those are all going to be open still. And something also that people just, I guess, it kind of just goes past all of us, that it's going to be a lot safer crossing 11th Street in Michigan City, where there's no signals or crossings. Now think about it, we cross the tracks at stop signs now. There's going to be signals and crossing rail arms and things of that nature, flashing lights at these. So it's going to be made much safer when you cross these streets. But many of them, when you look at Buffalo and Elston, those streets are not going to be closed coming from the south to the north. You will still be able to turn onto 11th Street and head east. So a lot of people think them are all going to be closed down. You'll still be able to go through that. Now on the north side of the tracks, there will be some cul-de-sacking going on over there, and we're going to have to meet, and we already have, with fire officials, police, ambulance, hospital officials, in making sure that everything is conduent to what we're going to be trying to achieve there, and making sure the neighborhoods are safe. And so a lot of that happens once the green light is given that it's going to happen. But I think that the safety features themselves are something that people forget about. But yeah, many of those streets won't be closed. And then on the west side of Michigan City, the tracks will no longer on 10th Street even be in the road. That'll be wide open. There won't be any tracks in 10th Street anymore. Basically from Sheridan up near Clare Street, the tracks will all be moved to the south. So there'll be open lanes there. There'll be no tracks whatsoever in the street. They'll move to the south, the double tracks. But there is a lot of comprehensive work that has to take place and that has taken place to get to the point of where we're at of funding this project. And all those safety concerns and neighborhood concerns have been discussed and will continue to be discussed. And when people talk about as far as the homes and apartments along there, there's a federal process. Because there's federal money in this, actually the city and the state won't be very involved in that. There is a federal process that will happen in the taking of those properties. And that goes not only for homeowners, but also even renters. There's assistance and program through the federal government that will regulate that when double tracking occurs. Yes.
I, along with many other people in Michigan City, are extremely pleased with the development that is going on and have no complaints whatsoever. You're doing an awesome job. My question is, in the development of the Elson Grove area, in the property that at one time housed Memorial Hospital, the construction that was going on there for, I believe, apartments and shops and everything has come to a grinding halt. And I was just wondering if that is going to continue to be developed and what was the reason for the halt?
Well, first of all, we continue to work with the developer there. There was a big pause because of some stormwater work that needed to happen there, and that IDEM, the state of Indiana, made us make some alterations to the plan. So there was some things that had to be re-engineered and redesigned. Actually, I think the stormwater process there is probably the first one in Michigan City of its kind. So that slowed things down for a while. And then now, as we met with the developer, there's some alterations to the actual apartments that will go there, and there's some conversations about altering their plans, but we're still active pursuing this. Last I'd heard, and sometimes, you know, I'm used to doing this because every time, once a month, we have coffee with the seniors. We do a lot of Q&A here, and I like this part, but usually I have a few department heads that can answer these questions in a little more detail, but I can just tell you that there's ongoing conversations with the developer, with the Economic Development Corporation, and the Planning and Redevelopment Commission also. But we certainly, the one thing about what's there, even in the worst case scenario that a developer pulled out, another developer could move right in and use all that infrastructure that the city and the Redevelopment Commission has put into that. So it's not like any money was wasted. So we're clear. Yeah. One more question? All right. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Davis?